This is the third vlog in a series planned on showing you how the Virginians get into Normandy for 2019. So the first two I kind of explain a little bit of our history, the route we're going to be taking, how the flight plan, and how we're going to try and get there. And on this one, I was like briefly discuss how we ended up with the Virginian and the steps we're taking to get her ready to go to Europe. So, I mean, if you ask a lot of aviators, people in general aviation or just aviators in general, the DC-3 is still one of the favorite airplanes in the aviation world. And many people may someday dream of being able to fly one or, heaven forbid, own one. We got serious about looking for one 10, 12 years ago and found one through several contacts. We heard about one that was for sale, probably for sale anyway, in Florida. And so this is 2011, and didn't know anything about what it took to own or operate a DC-3, but really got lucky. I got introduced to a gentleman who's based in Flabob Airport there in Riverside, who maintains several DC-3s and C-47s. And I didn't even know him at the time. I was introduced to him, said, you need to talk to this guy. And so I'd heard about this airplane in Florida. And this gentleman's name is Joe Garcia Air. And if you want to operate a DC-3, he's one of the best choices there are in the world. And very lucky that was in our backyard at the time. Anyway, so I invite Joe, hey, how about you come with us to Florida and help me take a look at this airplane? And we two birds with one stone. It was Sun and Fun, 2011. Now, for those of you who were there that year, that's the year of the tornado, and that part wasn't any fun. I remember hankering down in one of the hangars there, and that wind was howling. We didn't know at the time it was a tornado. They didn't tell us that until days later, I don't think. But boy, it was blowing and raining like crazy, and they're shutting the hangar door, and people trying to run in. It was a mess. Anyway, we survived that. But part of the reason we went there is to look at this other DC-3, and it was down in the Daytona area, as I recall. And so we drive down to Daytona. I have Joe and tagging along with a few other good friends of ours, and we go find this airplane. And as soon as maybe 5 minutes after I saw it, I was half embarrassed for bringing Joe all the way across the country to look at this airplane, because even I knew after about 5 minutes this airplane is never going to fly again, or should never fly again without a complete restoration, which was way beyond my capabilities. So bummer. We go back to Sun and Fun, enjoy Sun and Fun, except for the little tornado incident. But one of my friends is walking around Sun and Fun, and lo and behold, he goes up to just one of those bulletin board things and pulls his Post-it note off, and here it is, DC-3 for sale. Well, go to heck. He hands it to me, and so I call the guy up out of the blue, and lo and behold, that ends up being the Virginian. So just something's happened, just weird, how, unplanned, but sort of planned, but just to have bumped into it that way was, who knew? At any rate, so a little bit of trivia for DC-3. If you're not a DC-3 person, there's a little bit of trivia for you. DC-3s, C-47s, they don't get annual inspections per se. We all operate under what's called an approved maintenance program. And your maintenance program is approved by your local FSDO, and they stamp it, and the program explains how you're going to maintain the airplane, the inspection schedule, the maintenance, and it's spelled out in that program just how you're going to do that. And that's what the FSDO is, what the feds are looking for, makes them happy. And so when we got the Virginian, that maintenance program is not transferable. They didn't have one anyway. And so I figured, well, that's okay. We'll just get what they call a ferry permit. It's fairly standard to call and get a ferry permit. It's a one-time operation to get it from A to B to where the maintenance is going to be performed. Now, a certain amount of inspections have to happen before you get a ferry permit. It's got to be safe to fly, but it's restricted. And so I thought, oh, sure, we'll just do that. And so I call, the airplane was based there under the jurisdiction of their Orlando FSDO office. I get a hold of them, and I write them and talk to them, tell them, and I apply for what they call a ferry permit. Well, a guy The guy calls me back and he prefaces his statement, goes, "This isn't from me. This came from Washington, D.C. No more ferry permits for you guys." What the heck? Why is that? And he goes, "Well, apparently somebody got a ferry permit to take a DC-3 from the lower 48 up to Alaska. Not uncommon, pretty standard, except they kept operating it. And I don't know if something happened or they just got caught. But, it whizzed off the powers that be, the FAA, and I kind of got on the receiving end of all that. And so it just delayed us a little bit. The guy, the FSDO operator there, pretty nice about it. And he says, you ought to just finish up the maintenance program that was applied for you. The previous owner had submitted one, but they didn't, had a bunch of red, what do they call it, red marks, whatever, and finish it up. Oh, okay. So he sent me what they had, and I made some changes to make it better for us to follow, easier to follow. Submitted it, red lines, and it took maybe a month or 6 weeks, and I had an approved maintenance program, which is pretty good. I mean, some FSDOs aren't motivated to help you out like that. The Orlando FSDO office was, and they have greatly facilitated us getting that maintenance program. So that was just a question of sending Joe back, performs the maintenance on it per the program, signs it off, and she's free to go. So we went back, and a few of us and some friends, and jumped in her and flew her from Florida back to Chino, California. It took about 3 days to do that. Actually, I didn't quite go all that smooth. We were stuck, I think, 3 days in Arkansas with the electrical problem, but nothing major. We got it resolved and got her home to Chino. So that's how we got her. And it wasn't long. We had her, I don't know if it was days or weeks. And I was contacted by a gentleman, actually by several people. This one guy stands out in my memory banks, a guy named David Elliott. And he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, do you know what you have there?" I go, "Well, I just got her, DC-3. Yeah, I kind of know." No. "Do you know anything about her history?" I go, "Well, no, not really." And for whatever reason, he'd been following that airplane. I don't know if he had a relative on her. I can't remember the whole story, but he got us going on what her history was. And I mean, all DC-3, C-47s have great history to them. But each one's fairly unique. And so he got us going on what the Virginia Ann's history was. Pretty neat. And so we took that ball and ran with it. And 2 years ago, we went so far as we painted her. Her previous paint job probably dated back to the early 70s. So she's probably a little overdue anyway. But with the help of a friend of mine, John Goldenbaum, who was my primary flight instructor, got me trained in the DC-3 and eventually helped me get my type rating. Has a business there in Flaybob that they actually manufacture paint there. So he was a big help in supplying paint, and we went ahead and painted her. So yeah, she looks pretty dang good. Hopefully when I introduce you to her, maybe on the next vlog is the plan, you'll appreciate her as much as we do. And so lucky to have her, glad to have her. And so what else can I clue you in on? Looking forward to the trip. So a little bit, the first thoughts about going to Normandy, it was about the time we painted her a couple of years ago. I started thinking about, this is the 75th anniversary coming up. I wonder what it would take to fly over there. It was just a thought in our heads at the time. And my buddy John Goldenbaum comes up to me one day at lunch. He goes, "Hey, what would you think about going to Normandy, in a couple of years?" I go, "Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Let's do it." "Oh, okay." And then right about that time frame, a little bit later, actually, we met, at least I would met, and was introduced to a gentleman named Eric Zipkin, and he had just done it a couple of years before, 3 years before. He went to the 70th anniversary, and he was going to plan on going again. I go, "Hey, let's go." And so thankfully he had done this, and thankfully, I mentioned before, he started this organization called the D-Day-Squadron.org, and that's been a huge help in the planning and what we need to do. And there's a mile or stack of paperwork you got to do, and dot all the I's, cross all the T's. Not the fun part of it, but the required part that nobody wants to do. But he's been a big help with that. We've been busy collecting spare parts. We've got cylinders, magnetos, carburetors, pumps, the whole wheel. bunch of stuff. We've been probably 6 months hard at trying to get the plane ready to go. She's pretty darn close. And like I say, as it stands right now, the next vlog, I'll introduce you to the Virginia Ann. So thanks for attending. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope I piqued your interest. I hope you get excited about what's coming. I hope we can present what, at least in my mind, we're hoping to present. We're going to get a bunch of cameras rolling and share with you our journey to Normandy, France, and to Duxford, England. So thanks for attending, and I'll catch you later.